Hello and welcome back to 9 Years in China and Beyond. Hope you're doing okay. I'm making an adjustment here. I had just finished making a video for my America Then and Now channel about where did America go? What happened to my America since I was a kid? And it got me thinking about more things about China. You know, I was there for a long time. And last night, me and a friend were just talking in general about China and the changes going on. And I thought, well, let's attack this a little bit. Just talk about it a little bit, because China's in a bad place right now. If you're new to the channel, real quick, let me make my little spiel. If you're new to the channel, just hit the damn subscribe button. Help me get going. Help me keep making my messages for you, okay? When I first went to China in 2010, Hu Jintao was still the president, and communist or not, China was still very open. All the trade between the countries. I felt like China was prospering then. And it was good. I'd never seen the need for English and the want. I never dreamed that there'd be so many people wanting to learn English to better their lives in some capacity. Not just to feel closer to the West, where they could communicate and speak freely with each other. English is the world's problem-solving language. But things I thought were good. It was weird waking up every day and I could hear that propaganda music and the kids were walking around the track, on my school and and all that kind of stuff. But it's a different culture, right? But China was in a good place for the most part. Now, the one-child policy was still going on when I first had gotten over there, and I got to hear stories from my students about how they had brothers and sisters that would hide in the fields, when the census people or the government came by to check on them, or they had a brother or sister that was living with a grandparent or registered with another family. I thought that was incredible. I thought that was an incredible story even then, that 2010, that this was still going on. And all the arranged marriages, I had to deal with lots of students that had boyfriends and girlfriends, and nobody even knew that they had them because they didn't want to disappoint mom and dad by having a boyfriend, or wanting to get married, or wanting permission to date and marry whoever you want. Such a strange culture, right? Also, during that time, I saw a resurgence. I don't know what the word I need to use, and I'm a damn English teacher. A rise in the births of twins because of the one-child policy. People were taking fertility drugs, and if you had two, you get to keep two. Makes sense, right? But I could see there were good things inside of China. The people are beautiful, wonderful. I love talking to them. But the government is different, and it's really, really different now. Okay, but when I got there, Hu Jintao was still going, and things. I felt things were pretty good. I didn't have anybody following me and looking at me as a foreigner, as a menace to society, and anything like that at all. After Xi Jinping got elected, I started seeing a change. Within a year, I started seeing changes. Now, first, nothing affected me. And really, when I left China, I didn't have anything really affecting me yet. But now it's really different. But, but immediately, within a year, Xi Jinping started at the root level getting rid of corruption. That was his thing. We're going to rid China of corruption. All he's really doing is starting at the bottom, getting rid of the competition. China is super corrupt. There's no doubt about it. Nobody's going to argue that. It doesn't matter where you're from. China is corrupt. I mean, America has enough problems with corruption, but until you go into a society like China, you realize what's really capable. But that's another video, probably. All right. But gradually, over time, Xi Jinping's master plan had been working. He's slowly getting rid of people that could affect him. Remember, in those days, especially when he first got elected, you could still have a military coup. Even though you were president, you're not the only person that had power. And just like when Xi got elected, you still had people like, not just, Hu Jintao. I never thought of him as a strong person, but he had Jiang Zemin, who recently died, that still had a big voice in what went on in China. But Xi Jinping, he came from a family that had some power. He's old enough that he saw what he liked about Mao Zedong. So the path was set for him to believe what he believes. But as all this was going on, you started getting gradually anti-Western love. I can't even say it today. My mouth is so dry. But anyhow, you know what I'm saying. You're gradually seeing a lesser importance with English, especially as I neared the end of my time in China. Learning English is still compulsory, but the importance is not there like it was. But I've seen these changes, and I've seen them go from this one-child policy to say, okay, well, if you live in a farming province, then you can have a kid, and now you can have 2 kids, and now you can have as many babies, I guess, as you want, and nobody wants to have babies, right? Nobody really wants to get married because of the things that are going on. Raising a child is expensive as it is, and housing in China is, oh my Lady Gaga, bad, right? And now it's so hard to get jobs in China, especially for the young. So now we have this lie flat movement where they just have given up on being employed, and they're just going to take their college education and sit down on it. And the ones that do want to work, at least some of them can find jobs in KFC and Burger King, or deliver packages on their mopeds or whatever. It's a crazy place over there, but like I said, I've seen so many changes, and I just wanted to talk for a few minutes about the changes I've seen in China, especially when I first got there with Hu Jintao and now with Xi Jinping. I never though had any problems. The whole time I was over there, I never really had any issues ever with anybody. I felt I was in a good place. I'd been there for a long time. People knew where I was at. People knew me. I've been on TV playing music, and people knew me, so I never had any problems. But I also knew people that were from other countries like South Africa or whatnot, and hey guys, they watch those people a lot more. Australia, they really put their eyes on the South Africans and Australians for whatever reason. I don't know. But now America's evil in those eyes. Um, so we need to be real cautious now with China. We need to be strong with China. We can't let people get their own way. You know, every time you sit down for dessert, you don't deserve a plate that big when you hadn't had your meat and potatoes, if this makes any sense. But go back to Xi Jinping for a minute. It's changed now where he's eliminated basically all his competition. Anybody that's against him, if they are against him, they really don't speak out. There's only a handful of people that are still antagonists of Xi, but there's not many. But he's put himself in a precarious position because here's another thing that's going to happen. If he wants to go to war, say if he really, really wants to do something about Taiwan, if he really, really is so frustrated that China cannot thrive, he is going to have to put somebody in great power. He really doesn't have such a thing as a vice president. He doesn't want anybody that could immediately succeed him if something happened to him. He is isolated in that way. But if, for example, he did want to go to war, he is going to have to take somebody and put basically as number 2 in the country. That's kind of what it amounts to. He doesn't want to do that. That is against his, I think it's against his belief in his timeline. He can rattle his sword, but I really don't think he wants to do anything like that. He doesn't want to give up his power. He's so egotistical and so well. I don't want to rant, but he is number 1 in his mind, and he wants everybody to know that he's number 1. That's the reason why everybody in school is having to study Xi Jinping thought. You know, I know from middle school up right now in China, they're having to learn Xi Jinping thought. I know for a fact what they're doing because I'm being told this. And now you got people like bankers and people with civil jobs. They're having to study that Xi Jinping thought book. How would you like to wake up every day and instead of maybe reading the Bible or reading a chapter of a book, you have to read Biden thought, Trump thought, something like that? Could you imagine being forced and being tested on something like that? So the changes going over in China are not good. And you couple that mentality from your leader. Now you have all these all this flooding that has been going on. Now, realize every summer, that's when China gets its rain. But now these disasters have really crippled the farming economy. And now all the real estate has gone to crap. All this evergreen and what is it? Country. It's actually bigger. They're actually bigger than Evergrande. Anyhow, but all the realtors are sinking, going bankrupt. Nobody over there wants to invest in housing anymore. And used to, that was the only thing you could invest in was housing. So there's no money coming into those people from that. If they build something, now there's absolutely no guarantee in the world anybody's going to live in those buildings that they're making. So we have all these ghost buildings going on in China. Like I said, then the flooding is really hurting the economy. That's probably China right there trying to get hold of me. China has enough problems that they shouldn't have to worry about any kind of war. But when I first went over there, that really wasn't even a thought. Now they told us, well, don't talk about Tiananmen Square, don't talk about Taiwan, don't talk about Tibet, the three T's, and do your best not to talk about religion. That's what we were told as foreigners when we went over there. But like I said, I felt that China was doing really good. I thought the people were going somewhere. I thought the kids had a future. And now the young people, to me, they're wore out. They're trying to compete and find a job, just want to live. And they're having such a hard time accomplishing this. So anyhow, I'm not really ranting today. I just want you to know that I've seen things change here. I've seen change over there in China, and none of it's for the good. That's what my ultimate message is, that everything that I've talked to you about today and everything I've talked about on my other video, none of it is really for the good. Over there in China, guys, they need a big change to keep the few foreign companies that are there stay there and help China prosper. There's no reason why people can't work together. And China's just recently passed that law about spying. They want everybody to spy on each other. They want everybody to keep an eye out for the foreigners. They think all the foreigners are evil, And why would we want to spy? This is another thing, too. Why would we want to spy on China's technology when everything they have basically has been stolen from us or other places? That we have no reason to go to China and spy. But China doesn't want their people to think that. That's the illusion of China. What you see on TV, when you see Shanghai and you see Beijing and Shenzhen and those cities like that, major metropolises, I can't talk metropolises. Maybe it's my dry mouth. But when you get outside of those cities, China's very much a third world country. Do not think for 1 minute that China is advanced when you get outside the big cities. I've been in places that you just don't want to see. I've been in places that I've seen the homeless, tons of homeless people, tons of mentally handicapped people. Mental illness over there, they won't do anything about mental illness. I've never seen anybody offer help to the mentally ill. If you're old and you don't have a family in China, you are in deep trouble. It's the way it is. They could take these ghost buildings and fill them up with old people, at least let them have a roof over their head. But they don't take care of their old people like we do here in America. Like I said, there's lots of things, guys, I've seen that I can talk about. But homeless people, mentally ill, there's got to be a place to take care of your people. There's no reason not to take care of your people. There's no reason that they can't have a house over their head. And if they're sick, there's no reason why they can't have a hospital. Everything is so much, it's all about the money. It's all about the money here too, seems like. But anyhow, China is in distress. There needs to be change over there. Get everybody working together again. Students need to be able to find jobs. It needs to be easier for them to get employment. You shouldn't have to have a master's degree to work at a KFC. We see that here in America. There are people, you go to McDonald's, I guarantee there's somebody in there that's got a degree that's way beyond the scope of McDonald's, yet they're working there because they have to. They have to make a living. So anyhow, a little food for thought, a little thinking about the things that I have seen in China, and just whenever if you're an American watching this or whatever, do not ever hate or discriminate on those people. They are not in control. If you got a beef with China, it's the government. That's who pushes the buttons, okay? But anyway, you have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Hopefully with something happy. I don't like ranting.